Yo, what's going on, everybody? So here is my movie presentation. Bad Brains, a band in DC. Here we go. Let's do it. So yeah, black dudes in metal. That's actually a thing. So the Bad Brains are a band from Washington, DC, who metal band based out of Washington, DC. They moved to New York. And moved back to DC, and this is their story. So this is the Bad Brains. This is a name you probably don't hear a lot in metal music history because they weren't really the most known guys, but true purists of heavy metal and rock, they know about these guys. So I didn't know about them until this documentary. So here we go. So the Bad Brains. These are the members: Paul Hudson, aka HR. Vocals. Daryl Jennifer, bass. Gary Miller, aka Dr. No, on guitar, and Earl Hudson on drums. Ladies and gentlemen, these guys influenced all of your influences. So, who have they influenced? Subtopic. Influenced Nirvana, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the Beastie Boys. So yeah, that's a very wide span of people. Next, PMA. This is kind of their model that they stood by. It's positive metal attitude. Daryl, the bass player, quoted this and said, "Music should mean something, but it should also have a message and want to push the audience to want to do something." So their philosophy and approach was all about unity and having an alternative, positive approach to life and conquering it. I kind of agree with that. You got to kind of approach life with a just get it done attitude, and these guys had that attitude about them. So the history of punk rock's dads, I call them. They started in Washington, D.C., 1979, recorded their first demo that same year. And then the year after that, they were banned from playing clubs in Washington, D.C., and they moved to New York, and then they moved back because of really bad business deals and a lot of crap that happened, and it was really bad. In 2007, they ventured off and did their first tour in about 10 years. So this is the plot of the movie. It kind of goes into their journey on tour. And it really just kind of tells the ups and downs and, what touring is like, going from one place to another and getting off a bus, going to a crappy venue where the sound might not be right. And, they experienced a lot of highs and lows in this movie. Because HR, the vocalist, just kind of spiraling out of his mind, like, dude is really trippy. Like, if you watch this documentary, dude is like so trippy, it's almost scary. So, yeah. So the Bad Brains, they were on this tour, and the movie begins of them being in Chicago, and they were this was like the last date of the tour, and HR just bummed it. Like, the dude just demolished the gig, and so Daryl, the bass player, was just like, "Man, forget this. This is just crazy. Like, you're a sellout. Like, dude, you don't want this no more. We working hard, and you're not doing anything with it." So, they kind of moved on with their lives after that, and just kind of, yeah. So that's the plot of the movie. That's the movie pretty much in a nutshell. So, Brains' journey. An obscure band from D.C. got banned from playing in D.C., moved to New York, was offered a tour with The Damned in London and forgot their working papers and got sent back. And they struggled to make ends meet. So, yeah, they're still kind of struggling to this day. And these are their managers: Mo Sussman, from 1980 to 81, and Anthony County, who was there from 83 until now, to present day. So the music business side. On the business side of this, they kind of, it talked about touring. Like that's what the main focus of this was about. Just going back to our notes on tour, they had their designated riders about what they needed in their rooms on stage, and guys had weed a couple times. Like it was just kind of crazy. Of course they needed a bus because they needed to travel from place to place, but their tour schedule was relatively kind of simple. They just did a lot of festivals and a lot of just kind of obscure events. And as far as their management, their former manager, go back to his name, their manager, Anthony County, he said that going with these guys and touring, it's never supposed to go right. Something is never supposed to go right. It's not supposed to be perfect. If it is perfect, somebody's going to make sure that it doesn't go perfect. And that mainly was HR, the lead singer. Dude was trippy. He's probably one of the worst singers you ever wanted to work with, if you were a manager or if you were like a band member. But in the end, the guys always kept, that positive middle attitude, about just, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right or not do it at all. And so, I commend these guys for being titans, in the industry and just getting it done and just being, men of their craft, even though they didn't get a lot of recognition for it. And yet they were quite influential. Dave Grohl said, and it smells like Teen Spirit. The drum lick, he got it from the Bad Brains drummer, listening to them. And he kind of stole it and made it his own. And now you have smells like Teen Spirit. So their influence is all over, modern rock music today. And these guys really don't get the credit that they really deserve. And so, I believe that in time, the industry will for real get their worth and all that. So, again, going back to the music business side, this really showed the highs and lows of the music industry, to where like you can be kind of hot one day and like in obscurity the next. So like you really have to like build your fan base and know who you're catering to and what you're catering to and the people you're catering to. And so, one thing that this movie taught me, I guess a takeaway from it all would be to really, like, if you're going to do this music thing, you got to have tough skin and you got to be tenacious and you have to know what you're doing, because somebody better than you is trying to do what you're doing. And, when you don't do it well, you kind of get booed off the stage. And that's what HR did. He got booed off stage. They got a lot of stuff thrown on them. They got, cans of beers, whatever. You name it, it was thrown at them. So, so that was like the biggest takeaway I got of this. And that tour life is not easy, and that this industry is hard to get into. And you have to have, a willing heart to really just go through the crap that goes with it. But you get rewarded when you just go through it and just make it work. So I think that was kind of the biggest takeaway that I got from this movie. And one of the artists, can't really remember the guy's name, but he said that had the Bad Brains, because they had about 3 albums out. He said had their second album came out, he said that it would have been an imprint in American rock history, and that we wouldn't have had to wait till the 21st century to have this documentary made for them. So, that's really huge to know that these guys had that much influence in music, and that they could have been probably the biggest rock superstars ever, but they didn't really want that. They just were all about the purity of the music, and they were all about PMA, man, having a positive mental attitude, stick it to the man, get it done. And of course, they went through lots of changes. They went from being rock to punk rock to reggae to something else. They were everything, you know. But that's the Bad Brains in a nutshell. And this is my presentation. Thank you.